2021, are you excited? All right, so I'm excited to be here. Tonight's going to be life-changing. And, in fact, I'll share some stories later on that if you don't take tonight for granted and pay attention and take some notes and change your life. And so, because faith without works is dead, right? So we're going to show you a plan on how to become debt-free and financially independent. And many of you know that we've been conducting a financial institute here at Living Word since 2008 when we had the major crash. So it's been a while, and it's amazing how far we've come since then. And so I'm so excited about the future. If you knew what I knew, you couldn't sleep. Okay, and you got to stop watching the bad news. Okay, and actually I like watching the news because I want to find out what all the masses are thinking about and do the opposite, right? And because we're in the kingdom of God, right? And if you're operating in God's kingdom, you have a different set of rules, a different outcome for your future. But that doesn't mean that we can just sit back and do nothing. We have to take some action and change our lives. And tonight we're going to talk about money. Is that okay? Here we are in church talking about money. Can you believe it? And see, part of our mission is to teach people how to become debt-free and financially independent so you can be an impactful player in the kingdom. Because the devil would not want anything more than to keep you working and toiling so you have no time to do what God's really called you to do. And so tonight we're going to talk about how to create a plan so you can live your life by design and not from crisis to crisis. Okay? See, we're too good for that, aren't we? And God wants us to fulfill His plan in our lives. But we have to take action. And it says we have to renew our mind, but not remove our mind, right? Okay? So we got to make it happen. And, the purpose, it's amazing. In the Bible, there's said that there's over 2,000 verses about finances and stewardship. And yet there's less than 500 on prayer and faith. So, for those that think that money's not important, I'm not sure why God gave us so many verses. And so I gave you a little handout to try to whet your appetite to start to learn how to apply and speak the word over your finances. And if you do that, you'll change your life, which we're going to talk about. In Deuteronomy 8:18, it says, "For it is He who gives you power to get wealth, that He may establish His covenant." Okay? Because the gospel is free, but the pipeline is expensive. I mean, it costs a lot of money to make this place run, doesn't it? Okay? And so we have to have not just enough for our own family, but to have extra to spread the gospel. And then also to help others. In Ephesians 4:28, it says, "Let him labor, working with his hands, what is good, that he may have something to give to those who have need." See, really, years ago, we didn't have the welfare system, did we? And can you imagine if all the Christians actually tithed and how much extra that we would have to help those in need? But the sad thing is we kind of given that over to the government. And God is very efficient with helping those in need. He can do it with 10%. The government takes about 50%, right or wrong, okay? So wouldn't it be great if we could change that, at least in our family, in our family tree? And so, but we have to become financially literate. And I'm not sure I'm sure some people in this room know how to speak another language, or maybe English is your second language. And the thing is that, we all have the ability to learn another language, don't we? Now, it's going to take some study. It's going to take some effort. We might have to go to some classes. We may have to get a tutor. But if we really desired to learn Spanish or French or whatever you want to learn, you could make it happen, couldn't you? We see finances is the same way. It's just another language. And the sad thing is that if you grew up like me, in our educational system that I grew up in, there was no classes on finances, right? And yet, we deal with money every single day, and most of us were never taught, unless we're brought up in the family, to teach us about money. So the first step is to become financially literate. If you want to become financially secure, you must become financially literate. And see, most think that the answer to their financial problems is more money. And that's not the key. We've all heard the stories about people that maybe came into a large inheritance or won the lottery. And generally speaking, what happens 4, 5, 6 years later? It's all gone because they didn't know what to do with the money that they had. And also, there's no such thing as a free lunch. If it looks good, too good to be true, guess what? It probably is, okay? And it's amazing, and we'll talk about this later, but, the number one crime scene of financial crimes is churches. You think about, if you go to the SEC website, Securities and Exchange Commission, the Ponzi schemes and those things, a lot of times they originate in churches, okay? So we can't be gullible, can we? We have to be equipped. And that's why we have to be financially literate so we don't get taken advantage of. Because there's a little roaring lion out there seeking someone that he can devour, right? And see, don't focus too much on money that you lose sight of the greatest source of your wealth, financial education. So I hope tonight that those of you, if you haven't already, that tonight will be the catalyst to begin your journey to become financially literate. And we're going to give you some tools to begin that journey and change your life. Money can solve some problems, but intelligence can solve both problems and produce money. And money is a powerful force, but money without intelligence is soon gone. There's a survey where if they gave an average person $10,000, 80% would spend it, 16% might earn 5 to 10% on it, and 4% could double it to 20,000 or even turn it into millions. So my goal is for everyone at Living Christian Center and including our large online audience worldwide, right, is that everyone within the sound of this place will become debt-free and financially independent. That's our goal. So most people use the power of money against them. I know nobody here has a credit card, but you probably know of a relative that has one, right? And so you know the destructive powers that credit cards have in families, and we're going to talk more about that next month. If your financial intelligence is low, money will run all over you. And the thing is, when you open your mouth, your mind goes on parade. And with a few quick questions, it's very easy for someone to discern your financial intelligence. And you're going to learn some things tonight that's going to set you apart from the masses, and you're going to learn some simple little formulas that only 5% of the people that I've speak to over the last almost 4 decades now know. And it's just amazing. It's very simple, but unknown. If money is smarter than you, you will work for it the rest of your life. So you have to become smarter than money. Now, I grew up in Minneapolis, and I was very fortunate to be born in a good Christian home. I have great parents, and they raised me in church and taught me the Word, and I got born again. But really, we didn't know anything about money, and we didn't have much money. We didn't know anybody that had any money. We never really discussed the topic of money, or if we talked about money, we talked about why it was bad to talk about money. Sometimes society tells us that money's bad, money's evil. If you make too much money, you're not going to go to heaven, right? So my question is, where's the cutoff? And hopefully it's indexed for inflation, otherwise by now we're all doomed, right? Actually, I do know where the cutoff is. Anybody who makes more money than you is not going to heaven, right? Okay, all right. And so I grew up, like many do still today, with what I call a poverty mindset. And again, I literally thought that, if somebody had money or a nice car, I thought that they were a criminal, right? And so, being a Christian, I wanted to go to the Word and find out, what does the Word say about money? And one of the first places was Deuteronomy 28. And it's a long chapter. And it says, if you fully obey the voice of the Lord your God, being careful to do all His commandments that I command you today, the Lord your God will set you high above all nations of the earth. And next, we'll keep going. All these blessings will come upon you and accompany you if you obey the Lord your God. You will be blessed in the city and blessed in the country. The fruit of your womb will be blessed, the crops of your land and the young of your livestock, the calves of your herds and the lambs of your flocks. Your basket and your kneading trough will be blessed, and your 401k plan, and your mutual funds, okay? You'll be blessed coming in, and you'll be blessed going out, coming and going. How about that? Okay? The Lord will grant that the enemies who rise up against you will be defeated before you. They will come at you from one direction, but flee from you in seven. The Lord will send a blessing in your barns and everything that you put your hands to. The Lord your God will bless you in the land he is giving you. And it goes on. However, right around verse 16, it talks about the curses of disobedience. And I'm not going to read those. There's a lot more curses, unfortunately. Okay? But the key is, I thought it was blessed to be poor and blessed to be sick because God's teaching you something, right? But that's not what my Bible says. How about yours? God wants us blessed. So that was important to me. In fact, again, money's bad, money's evil. Well, in Genesis 2, if you look in Genesis 2, verse 12. So this is the creation. And every time God created something, what did he say? It is good. You ever seen Genesis 2, verse 12? And the gold of that land is good. So if you're saying money is bad, that's antichrist, isn't it? That's against the Bible. Because my Bible says gold is good. So if you say something that God says is good, you call it bad, I'm not sure that I want to go there. Okay? So understand that it's what you do with it, right? Just like gravity. Gravity is good unless you jump off a building, right? Then it's bad, okay? So everything can be used or misused. And again, growing up the way I grew up and with our educational system in Minneapolis at the time, we didn't have any classes on finances. And I was a good student. I studied. I took, the advanced classes. I had chemistry. I had biology, physics, calculus. I dissected frogs. I dissected worms. And you ever ask your teacher when you're doing something, why do we have to learn this? And what do they say? Someday, you're going to need it, right? Well, I don't know about y'all, but so far, I haven't needed to know how to dissect a worm, okay? Now, it was fun to learn. I'm not saying, keep doing it, okay? All right? But it sure would have been nice to have a class on how to dissect a checkbook, how to stay out of credit card debt, how not to rack up a bunch of student loans, right? How to buy a car and not get ripped off, how to buy a house, right? How come we didn't have classes on that? Because money's not important. Money's not everything. You can't take it with you. We just got to be happy. And we got love, right? In fact, I remember, when you live in Minneapolis, you think all the rich people live in Robbinsdale, okay? And I remember driving down the Victory Memorial Drive and, and seeing the beautiful homes, and I'd hear, yeah, they got nice houses, but they ain't happy. I thought, really? Well, if they're not happy and the house is the problem, I can solve that. Trade houses with me and they'll be happy like us because we got love, right? Okay. But you see, it was just that mindset, saying those things, forces us to ignore things. If you ignore your spouse, they go away. If you ignore your kids, they go away. If you ignore your health, it goes away. If you ignore your money, it goes away. And so we have to pay attention, right? Because if you don't pay attention, you're going to pay somebody, aren't you? Usually a credit card. So that's why we've got to change this mindset. And we're going to talk about that tonight. Because see, we're taught, go to school, get a good education, get a good job, and get a paycheck, right? And we're taught that you work for money. And for a lot of us, that's where it stops. And, the many times you go to, say, store, and you see a person that's maybe in their 70s and 80s working. Now, maybe they want to work there by choice. That's fine. But many times there's some people that are all they have is Social Security, and they're struggling, right? So the key is we have to learn. You want to use black, all right. Sounds good, thank you. So you work for money. Is that better? All right. But what we want to do tonight is learn how to get money working for you. Anybody with me? That's your two choices. And if you had a choice, what would you choose? Have money working for you, right? But it doesn't happen overnight, but it happens over time. A lot of times people say, oh, but you got rich overnight. Well, it was a long night, let me tell you. Okay? All right? You know, I just want to share a cool testimony about a person. And, I'll just say, call her Diane, I guess because that's her first name. But she was 56 years old and had $60,000 in retirement, but she had a $17,000 loan against it, $33,000 in credit card debt. She had been renting her apartment that she's living in New Hope for 20 years, and she had no hope of ever retiring or owning a home. She said, she thought she would end up a bag lady. And she said she clutched her Bible with shame. And 21 years ago, she came to a session like this. And then she came to Living Word Church. She started learning about tithing. She started to tithe. And miraculously, she got a better job and doubled her income. She began to learn about finances. She didn't just come to a class and sit here for once or twice or three times. She dug into it. She studied. She read. She read all the books that we recommended. She started changing her mindset. She began investing. She maxed out her 401k at work. She paid off all her debt. She purchased her very first home at age 64. 64 years old, her first home. Paid it off in 10 years. Today, 21 years later, she's saved over $700,000 cash. $700,000. Okay? And because of her home and everything, her net worth is over $1 million. She's a millionairess. She said she could have never done it without becoming educated and learning and having a coach. Isn't that incredible? Yes. Diane Baker, will you stand up? She's not a beg lady. She's not a beg lady. This is real stuff, folks. Right? Faith without works is dead. She had the faith. She started tithing. She applied the knowledge. So if I meet you 20 years from now and you're still broke and can't pay attention, can't blame me. Right? So tonight can change your life, but warning, 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 you're also going to become accountable for what you learn, aren't you? Okay? And you can learn. You're smart. God gave you the mind of Christ. See, my vision is that our entire Living Word congregation, Maranatha Christian Academy, our online audience worldwide, become millionaires. Okay? And then you can do what God's called you to do and be an impact player for the kingdom. So let's dig in. Let's start learning. Now, in the handout, and you don't have to look at it now, but I do have a book list. And one of the first books I'm going to have you read, and this is going to be your assignment for next month. So you got 30 days, get the book, read it. Okay? It's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Has anybody heard of that book before? Okay? The subtitle is What the Rich Teach Their Kids About Money That the Poor and Middle Class Do Not. Because it's different. It's different. Because see, if you're like me, and I had a poverty mindset, I thought that people who had money got lucky. They inherited it. There's a windfall, right? No, it doesn't work that way. Over 85% of the millionaires are first generation, meaning they built it, themselves. They didn't inherit it, and they didn't win the lottery. Now, the book, Robert Kiyosaki is the author. It's kind of about his life. And, when he was young, he had a friend named Michael. And Michael his father was one of the wealthiest businessmen in Hawaii, but he only had an 8th grade education. He didn't inherit the money. He didn't win the lottery. He just built a business and worked hard. His own father was a head of the education for a city in Hawaii. And so he had a high-level education, very smart guy, but he was always living paycheck to paycheck. So even though he made a good income, he was just at a higher level of poverty, right? Because he just spent it all. And so Robert asked his friend Mike's father, whom he called his rich dad, if he'd teach him how to make money. And Rich Dad was amazed by that question because in 30 years of business and hiring hundreds of employees over those years, he never had somebody ask him to teach him how to do it. See, what we want, we just ask for, we just want a salary. We just want a job. What's the benefits? Give me my name is Jimmy, right? Okay? We really don't want to learn. We just want to learn our job and get a paycheck and go home, right? And so he was intrigued that this young man wanted to learn. So one of the first things he said, Robert, if you want to be successful, you have to know the difference between assets and liabilities. Now, those are big words for a young man. And so he made it very simple. He said, an asset is something that puts money in your pocket. Okay? You didn't know I could write in tongues, did you? So what do you think a liability is? Takes it out, right? Very easy. Now, why didn't I learn this in high school? This is simple. I could have learned this, right? I don't know. Hopefully that'll change, right? So then he wanted to say, there's 3 patterns on how people manage their finances. Now, the cool thing about a pattern is it can be copied, right? And so, but if you don't know about it, you can't copy it, but warning, 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 I'm going to mess your life up because now you're going to know. And the first thing is you have to learn how to manage your cash flow because you've got income coming into your pocket, right, into your household, and you have expenses going out. Because, see, you are running a business. You incorporated. The question is, would you buy stock in your business? Okay? Then you have a balance sheet called Assets and Liabilities. Okay? So then he said there's 3 different ways to manage the balance sheet here. And one he called poor, one he called middle class, and one he called wealthy. Now, when he used those terms, he wasn't labeling people based on how much money they had. It was based on a mindset. Because you can be poor, inherit a lot of money, and 5 years later, you're poor again. You can be wealthy, lose it all, and 5 years later, get it all back again. So there's a difference between being broke and poor. Broke is a situation. Poor is the mentality. So our goal is we need to change from a poverty mindset to a wealth mindset. And all that means is you have money working for you. So now this is where I started. I was a college student, and I was making income driving a school bus, going to college. And I had no savings, of course. But you know what? I didn't have any debt either because I paid cash for my car. Be so proud of me, all $125 worth. Okay? Of course, it didn't have a floor in the back seat, but it ran. Okay? And so basically, I was working to live. Nothing left over. Nobody would give me a credit card if I wanted one. Okay? And that's just hand to mouth, work to live. Now, there's nothing wrong with starting there. The beauty of America is a ladder, not a bed. A lot of times people say, Mark, I have a fixed income. Well, unfix it. You're not a tree, right? If you're born on the wrong side of the tracks, look both ways, walk to the other side. Okay? You could do that. This is America. Isn't that incredible? In 2021. So now, most people don't stay there. They get married, and now they got 2 incomes coming in, and they're living fine. They got their expenses. And now, instead of just being a renter, what do they go do? Buy a house, right? Now, where should we put our house? Is our house an asset or a liability? Well, I always heard your house is your best asset, but if you go back to the definition, an asset is something that puts money in our pocket. And I don't know about you, but most houses take it out, right? Taxes and insurance and lawnmowers and rakes and water heaters, right? Okay? Now, I'm not saying don't buy a house. Yes, yes, yes. Buy a house. But your house is not your retirement plan, okay? Now, if you have a home that you rent out, is that an asset or liability? That could be an asset, right? Because if you look at the rent is an expense for the renter. That comes into your income column. Of course, you have some expenses because you might have a mortgage on it, but then all the extra goes into your asset column, right? Now, the interesting thing is the mortgage, which is a liability for you, is an asset for somebody else. Who's that? The bank. Ooh, come here. That was good. Jeez, you're paying attention. Sometimes you get paid. What's that?
I'm working on getting my realty license.
Good for you.
This is like my thing.
This is your thing, okay? Oh my gosh.
Oh, snap. This
See?
is my new favorite guy.
Okay. Yeah, works to pay attention. Okay. That was good. See, you're already getting the wealth mindset. Okay? So now, with a middle-class mindset, at times what we do is we get raises at our job. What do we go do? We spend more, right? So then we start getting our stuff, right? Okay? And the stuff, which we call assets, actually increases our expenses, don't they? There's nothing wrong with buying stuff. I like stuff too. But I'd rather have assets pay for them. Right? So, for example, a wealth mindset is different because what happens here is, what is the only thing putting money into you Incorporated? You. That's it. And what if someone gets laid off? Cash flow stops, bills keep coming in, right? Even though you said, I would never go into the sales business, I hate selling, you get very good at selling. You sell your motorcycle, you sell your jet ski, you sell your boat, right? Okay. All right. So you don't want to be the only thing generating income because then you have to do it. And we're going to talk more about that next month. But with the wealth mindset, how do we get there? Okay. So with a wealth mindset, and again, here in the next few minutes, you are going to have this. It's so simple. We should have been taught this in school, right? But, so you have your income, your expenses, your assets, and your liabilities, okay? So you got your income. Now, a wealth-minded person, even though they might have a job, they don't view a job as a way to pay their bills. They view a job as venture capital, cash flow, okay? And because, you're probably your best asset starting out, so the more valuable you can make yourself, the more cash flow you can generate. Again, we're going to talk more about that next month. However, here, this individual, if they have a job, it's kind of dual purpose. Number one, they keep their expenses low enough so they have money left over to save, invest. You know the cool thing about Diane's story? She started when she's 56. Of course, if you do the math, 21 years, she's 77. She doesn't look like it, but she is, right? Okay? If you're 26, that means 47 for you. If you're 46, do the math. Okay? So it's never, so don't think, oh, well, you know, I got to wait for the younger people. No, get wealth over with early, right? I'm sure Diane wishes she'd learned this when she was 26, right? Okay? So they take the money, buy assets, and possibly even learn how to do the job better on their own, AKA start their own business. Okay? So they become so good at what they do, now they start their own business, and they invest in that, and that increases their income. They take that, they buy more assets. Might be real estate, might be investments, might be a business, which we're going to talk about in March. You got to keep coming back to get all this, okay? And pretty soon, their cash flow is coming from their investments, be it their business or stocks or real estate. And no longer are they working for money, but money is working for you. Got it? So if you change this mindset, you can change your life. So again, please pick up Rich Dad, Poor Dad and read it before our next service in February. So one of the first formulas I learned about money, very simple formula, but it changed my life. It's a little easy math formula called the Rule of 72. Who's all heard of Rule 72? Okay? And again, it's amazing because I've been teaching this for almost 4 decades, and I usually only get 5% of the hands that have heard of it. Anybody heard of Benjamin Franklin before? Okay, it's been around. Well, I mean, he taught it way back when, but somehow that didn't make it to my high school. And what it is, it's a simple formula that if you take the interest rate that you earn on your money and divide it, 72 divided by the interest rate gives you the number of years that your money will double. Okay? So you can learn how compound interest works. Okay? Because see, if you don't understand compound interest, which I believe is the 8th wonder of the world, God gave it to us. Okay? And most of us have it working against us, not for us. You know, it's amazing how, it's kind of well known that Jewish people are good at money, aren't they? Do you think they know the Rule of 72? Well, guess what? Jesus is a Jew, and we're grafted in, aren't we? So we should have that wisdom and knowledge as well. So what does this mean in real life? So, for example, let's say that you're starting out, and you have $10,000, okay? All right? And if you make 4% interest, 72 divided by 4 is what? 18? Very good. Okay. So in 18 years, it doubles to 20,000. In 36 years, doubles to 40,000. However, if you got 6% interest, just 2 more percent, 72 divided by 6 is 12. So that means every 12 years, you double your money. So 10,000 goes in, and in year 12, you got 20. In year 24, you've got 40. And in year 36, right here, you got $80,000. So double the money, even though you didn't even double the rate. And then if you put it at 12%, look at this. 72 divided by 12 is 6, right? So now you're doubling every 6 years. So you got 10, 20, 40, 80, 160, 320, 640,000. And the banks give you this, and they make this, and you get a free stuffed animal. right? Just amazing. So you can see why banks have nice furniture and woodwork, right? They just learned how to use money better than we did. Now, if you understand compound interest and how time affects it, do we have anybody 25 years old in here or thereabouts? Anybody wish they were 25? Okay. Right there, okay? So if you start saving $100 a month at 25 years old, when you're 65, at a 10% return, you're going to have $632,000. Just $100 a month. That's $25 a week. That's only $5 a day, and you take the weekends off. $5 a day. That's like a latte. So one latte a day for 40 years is $600,000. Hope you like it. If you wait 1 year later until you're 26, instead of $632, it's only going to be $571. So you lose $60,000 just waiting a year. Take as long as you want. If you're 30 years old and start saving $100 a month, it drops to $379 instead of $632. And if you're 40, it's only $132. Okay? Now, if you're 40, there might be a couple in here over 40. Okay? But don't give up. It's never too late. Do you know that the insurance mortality tables for life insurance, now you can buy a life insurance policy that lasts till age 121. Isn't that amazing? Used to be age 100. So if you're 60 years old, you're only halfway there. There's hope, right? So the best time to plant a tree is 30 years ago, but the second best time is right now. And that goes the same for saving. Now look at this. We have two 22-year-olds. It's amazing how this compound interest works. Okay? And so, two 22-year-olds. And one 22-year-old begins saving $4,000 a year, right? A little over $300 a month, age 22, continues it until he's 28, stops saving, just lets the money grow. The other 22-year-old says, oh, I'm young. I got some time. I got a long time to save. But then right around 28 years old, this individual starts saving $4,000 a year and does it every single year until they're 65. Okay? Who do you think has more money? The first one has $1,256,000, and this one has $1,200,000. They're close, but who paid the bigger price? Okay? So again, get compound interest working for you as soon as possible. Okay? Thank you. All right. Not going to let me up here again. No. Now, what do you got to save to save $1 million? Now, again, with a poverty mindset, sometimes that's like evil to talk about $1 million. That's just so bad, right? Okay? But without a vision, you spend your money. Okay? So if you want to save $1 million and you want to do it in 30 years, okay? All you have to do is save $546 a month at a 9% return. You say, 30 years, that's too long. Okay, how about 20? $1,497 a month. You know what's interesting is people look at those numbers and go, $500 a month or $1,500 a month, that's a lot of money to save. But then if we look at a person's debt situation, do you know how many people are paying $1,500 a month on their credit cards? Do you see how the world system keeps you poor? Okay? You see a commercial on TV. You've been dreaming about this car. All of a sudden there's a big sale. 0% down, right? 0% interest. Only $546 a month. And you go, honey, that's not a bad car payment. If we did this and canceled this, we could afford that, right? How come that's not a bad car payment? But if I say invest $546, oh, that's too much, Mark. You don't understand. I got kids, I got bills. You don't get it. You don't live in the real world, right? Do you see how society has brainwashed us to be consumers instead of producers? And do you understand that consumers consume what producers make? Okay? So then those producers can consume more. How about 15 years? That's aggressive, $2,643 a month. How about 10 years? $5,167 a month. 10 years, millionaire. That's aggressive. I can think of a pastor who about 12 years ago decided, I want to start saving. He heard about this compound interest. And I told him he wanted to have $1 million. He had 40,000. I told him what it took. In his case, it was $4,300 a month. I thought, he's going to faint. And you know what he did? That was his wife's income, and their kids were raised. They decided, we're going to save all of her income. 11 years later, millionaire. Pastor. Right? See, God's no respecter of persons. Okay? You just apply the principle, and it works. But if you don't know about it, then you're just going to go about your merry way. Isn't it amazing how fast life goes? And all of a sudden, you're retired. You go, oh, man, I wish I would have saved more. Okay? See, you want to create a family legacy. You want to get your family house in order. Protect your family, build financial freedom, and teach the next generation. See, a lot of times as Christians, I mean, if you're like me, I believe we're in end times. Wouldn't you agree? Okay? But, you know, we don't know God's clock. It might be end times for some people. I mean, there's a lot of people in the obituaries yesterday. They had their end time yesterday. Okay, so we don't know. But do you know how many Christians use the rapture as a retirement plan? Right? Because see, if you think the rapture is coming next week, then you blow all your money, right? Okay? And see, Jesus said, occupy till he comes. In some translations, it says, do business till he comes. So we're not supposed to act foolish, right? So, and the thing is what happens if you save $1 million and then the rapture comes? Oh my gosh, what a bummer. You get to go to heaven. I think heaven's going to be better than the $1 million. In fact, you get there and go, $1 million, that was nothing. That's nothing. Bill Gates is nothing. Warren Buffett's nothing, right? So what are you so worried about saving $1 million and you don't get to spend it? Isn't that kind of silly? Okay? So don't do that. Okay? Build your wealth. And see, most people don't plan to fail. They fail to plan. Now, in the little booklet that you received, you know, on the first page, you see a financial house. And so this is what we're going to work on the next 4 months, is how to build a strong financial house. As I said, live your life by design and not from crisis to crisis. Now, if you've ever built a house before, you know that if you want to build a house, you don't just run the Menards and get a bunch of lumber. Probably the first thing you do is you have a plan, don't you? You sit down with an architect, you draw blueprints, and you make changes. And then you get the blueprints to the builder, and then you build the house. Okay? So the picture in your booklet, these are the components that make up a financial house. Okay? So we're going to go through this step by step over the next 4 months. So your financial house, okay? Number one, income is what's funding your financial house. And just like a home usually has a basement, a foundation, right? In a financial house, your foundation is protection. That's why you have health insurance or auto insurance or home insurance, okay? Now, I believe God protects me and the angels surround my car, but I still wear a seatbelt because there's other people out there that may not have share the same faith, right? Okay? So same thing with insurance, okay? You know, if you're married, especially having kids, you know, you guys need to buy some life insurance to take care of your wife because you may die prematurely. We don't know, okay? And a lot of times I hear guys say, well, I don't want to buy insurance because I don't want to make my wife's new husband rich. Well, you can't be dead and jealous at the same time, okay? Okay? So just take care of your family. Make sure they're protected. Provide whether you're dead or alive, right? Because the saddest thing we see is, there's funerals in church every year, right or wrong, okay? And it's very sad. And I don't know why. I guess we'll ask God when we get there. But we need to take care of our family. And it's amazing how many families, even with young children, have nothing, okay? And so make sure to protect your family. Legal. It's so important. Do you know that 66% of people who die in the United States don't even have a will? Okay? 66, 2/3, don't even have a will, let alone a trust or power of attorney or healthcare directive. Those things are very important. We're going to talk about that in April, session 4. But, if you've ever had to deal with a family member who, say, parents or siblings passed away and you had to take care of things, they didn't have a will, you know how hard it is, isn't it? Even it's hard if you do have a will. So we're going to talk about that. Debt elimination. Okay? Next month, we're going to talk about how to become debt-free very, very quickly. There's fantastic strategies to become debt-free. And then the amazing thing is, let's say you're paying $800, $1,000, $1,500 a month on your debt. You get that paid off, and then you convert that money to building wealth. It's going to be amazing. You're going to be another Diane story. Go from a negative 33,000 to a plus million. How about that? Okay? Then, having an emergency fund. Okay? Having at least 3 months of expenses. So something comes up, life happens. You bring your car in for an oil change, all of a sudden you need new brakes and rotors, right? You say, the devil's attacking me. It's like, brakes and rotors actually wear out, okay? It's kind of like part of the deal. Tires wear out. Sometimes we give the Satan too much credit, right? Okay, all right. Is this okay, Pastor? If I cross the line, you just let me know. Okay, all right. Then retirement. And I don't even like that word retirement because I think of Diane, she's refired. Refirement. It's financially independent. It's money working for you so you can do what God's called you to do. That's what that means. We're going to talk about that. And then education, if you have children, change your family tree. And then other goals and dreams. Living your life by design and not from crisis to crisis. Now, a big thing, a lot of people say, well, gee, Mark, I need help with budgeting. How do I budget? Well, I'll give you a very simple plan, okay? But everything is kind of founded on, again, as a Christian, we have a competitive edge because we got the Word. I mean, you ever play a game like, my son-in-law and my daughter, they win every game that we play, But you know why? Because they read the rules and I don't. And they only tell me the rules that they want me to know. Right? Okay? So that's how finances are as well. But as a Christian, we should be the ones ruling because we got this thing. Satan's a liar. The world's a liar. The world system, all that new stuff, it's old stuff. Okay? This is the new stuff. This is the good news. And God's equipped us. Okay? Luke 16:12. Luke 16:12. We got that? One who is faithful, if you had not been faithful in that which is another's, who will give you that which is your own? If you want to own your own home, but you're a bad renter, how's that work? Well, I'll take care of it better when it's my own. No, you won't. You're never going to get your own. Take care of the landlord's property like it's your own, and God's going to bless you with your own. Right? If you're an employee, treat the business like it's your business, and someday you'll own the business. Okay? But here's the easy budget. I call it the 10-10-10-70 plan. 10, 10, 10, 70. 10% tithe. Okay? And by the way, that's the best investment you can make. Okay? And if you're not sure about the tithe, I heard that possibly there might be some good materials from Pastor Mac that could help you with that, right? I think he might have a couple, right? So, critical. Then save 10% for retirement or wealth independence, and then 10% savings for other things. And then live on 70. And if you do that, life will be easy. Because see, if this is your income and this is your expenses, the money in the middle is called your quality of life. Now, if your income expenses are like this, paycheck to paycheck, it's a little tight. You don't have a quality of life, do you? Something happens and, it hurts. Or sometimes we're like this. We're living paycheck to master to visa to paycheck, right? So the goal is to decrease your expenses and increase your income so you can increase your quality of life. Now, this won't happen over time or overnight. It'll happen over time. It might take you a year or two to get yourself in this position. You might have to downsize your living, downsize your car, upsize your job, finish your education, get a degree, make yourself more valuable to the marketplace so you can make more money, right? And then you have a quality of life. And then ultimately, we talk about retirement. You want to calculate what I call your FIN number. Your FIN number. Your financial independence number. That's your number. Just like you might know your sleep number. Okay? And that's probably important because you spend a third of your life there, right? But you should also know your FIN number because you're going to spend the rest of your life there, okay? And what that means is you need to calculate how much investments you need to build so you can retire like Diane. But the thing is that we have to factor inflation in. So, for example, if you're 35 years old and your goal is to have $5,000 a month coming in off your investments plus Social Security, the challenge is by the time 30 years roll along, you're going to need $16,000 a month to buy the same goods and services that $5,000 does today. Do you think Social Security is going to bail you out on that one? No. And it's going to keep on going. So again, we can't get into all the mechanics of this, but without a vision, your FIN number is your financial vision. So everything starts there, and then you work backwards to accomplish it. You rearrange your life to reach that goal. And you got to assume that Jesus is going to tarry until you get there. Because it's easy to say, the rapture's coming tomorrow, I'm good. Okay? Isn't that great? I don't think that's a good plan. So develop your FIN number, build a financial house by design. A few years ago, Pastor Mac did a service after the new year started, and he had 5 steps for achieving goals. And the thing is, building your financial house, all that is goal setting, right? And he said, number 1, the goal has to be clear and in focus. So you have to know exactly what that FIN number is, how to get there, and have a plan to get there. And if you can't, then you need to figure out how to fill the gap. Okay? And you can do it. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how young you are. I don't care how poor you are. You can do it. Because I can do all things through Christ. You got the winning ticket, right? No excuses. Number 2, you got to believe you can get there, right? You got to believe. And those scriptures that I put together a few for you in the handout, or for our online audience, you can go on livingword.com or LWCC.org, and you can go to the Financial Institute page, and you can download the handouts that people here received tonight. I encourage you to do that. So stand in the Word. Stand in the Word. Okay. Number 3, you have to have a plan of action. Okay? Because faith without works is dead. So you have to have a plan. What's your plan? To do the 10-10-10-70 plan. What's your plan to earn more money? What's your plan to eliminate your debt? What's your plan to decrease your expenses? And number 4, you're going to need courage, because it's going to take a long time. It's going to take a long time, right? That's why in Galatians 6, verse 7, it says, do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man sows what he reaps. And then verse 9, let us not grow weary in well-doing, for in due season, you'll reap if you don't give up. Okay? So that means there's a due season. It's seed time and harvest. You don't plant the seed and check the next day and go, oh, that didn't work. What's the deal with that, right? And you dig it up. Keep digging up your seed. Got to plant it, water it, and confess the word over it. And then number 5, consistency. You got to be consistent, because things are going to come your way to distract you and to make you want to get off your plan. Now, one thing, wrapping up here, I just want to warn you that a lot of times when people start learning about money, you start being susceptible to scams. There's so many scams out there. Email scams and all this stuff, too good to be true stuff. And you got to guard your family. Trust but verify. If people offer you investments, make sure you check, are they licensed? You just can't have people, give you money or you give them money to invest for you and they don't have a license. It's against the law. So there's a lot of ways to check, the FINRA, the SEC, Attorney General, the Commerce Department. Again, if it looks too good to be true, it probably is. And again, so tonight, if you change your thoughts, you can change your life. I just want to share a scarcity mindset versus an abundance mindset. See, a scarcity mindset says, can't afford it. Abundance mindset says, how can I afford it? Because if you say, I can't afford it, you shut down God, you shut down all creativity. But you say, how can I afford it? You got to find a way, don't you? You got to believe God. Scarcity mindset says, the reason I'm not rich is these kids. An abundance mindset says, the reason I am rich are these kids. Scarcity says, don't take any risks. Abundance says, manage risks. Scarcity says, our home is our greatest investments, our retirement. Abundance says, our home is a liability. Scarcity says, pay bills first, then save. Abundance says, save, then pay bills. Pay yourself first. Scarcity mindset has a big TV. Wealth mindset has a big library. Scarcity mindset feels entitled. I'm entitled. I deserve it. I earn it. Abundance says they would just want to be empowered. Scarcity says, I'll never be rich. Abundance says, I am rich. Scarcity says, I'm poor. Abundance says, I don't have any money. I'm temporarily broke. Scarcity says, I'm going to work hard for their money. Abundance wants to get money working for them. Scarcity wants security. Abundance wants freedom. Scarcity says, play it safe. Abundance says, play it smart. Scarcity says, what will my friends think? Abundance says, what do I think? Or better, what does God think? Okay. Scarcity hangs around poor people. Abundance hangs around successful people. Scarcity says they're a victim of circumstances. Abundance says they overcome their circumstances. Scarcity doesn't set goals. Abundance has compelling goals. Scarcity doesn't respect money. It's not important. Abundance respects money. Scarcity focuses on obstacles. Abundance focuses on opportunities. Scarcity resents successful people. Abundance respects and learns from successful people. And it goes on. I'm so excited for you. You have a great future. I encourage you to dive in, begin your journey of become financially literate, and encourage you to look at the handout in the back and start building your library of become financially literate.